On this episode, I review Zen's Attack from Mars for the 4KP from atgames and let you guys know whether or not you want to pick this thing up. Coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I am your host, JDV, for Evil Genius Entertainment. Just a little quick note about the channel. This is actually going to be the last time I probably record an episode of Game Shack in this location. We're going to go back to the old Game Shack because I need to consolidate my stuff, because this is going back into a movie studio because we're getting ready to make another movie. Anyway, keep your eyes open for that. All right, so let's just jump right on into it. I have had this game for about 2 weeks now. Of course, Attack from Mars is one of the world's greatest real-world pinball games. It's in almost everybody's top 20 in terms of just a great pinball game, period. So it's really exciting to see it here in the virtual form in this 4KP. This is the 5th Zen game to hit the 4KP. Star Trek The Next Generation just hit about 5 days ago as I record this, and that becomes the 6th Zen game. Now I hope to get a review of that game up in a week or two. I'm seeing really mixed reviews for that one. Hopefully people don't feel the same way about Attack from Mars, because I actually think they did a fantastic job on this game, starting with the graphics, which are amazing. The playfield is just incredible. The lighting effects are all just really, really good. The plastics look good. The rails look good. I mean, everything looks really, really good. It plays super well, except for that lag. I'll get to that in the negative section, but it plays really well. It sounds fantastic. All of the sounds really seem to be like they paid extra attention to it on the SSF version of it. I don't know how it would just sound on stereo, presumably okay, but again, I think if you're any kind of a pinball fiend, you really ought to look at getting that SSF kit. It really does make a big difference. Really, on this game, it makes a huge difference. It is a very good experience playing this game, both visually and audio-wise. It really is a great emulation too. There's no screen tearing. I didn't see any jagginess. It never crashed, any kind of thing like that. The sound that they got on here in terms of the voiceovers, it doesn't crack and crackle the way it does on some of the VPX versions that you might play. All in all, just a fantastic emulation of a great pinball game. Though a couple of quibbles about it, or weirdnesses about it, when you get into the menu on most of these games now, you can extend the back box art to go all the way out to the sides, and you can make the DMD go wider to fill up the whole screen. Here it's kind of letterbox like you might see in the arcade one-up pinball game. I'm not sure why you can't change the aspect ratios like you can on the other Zen games. Maybe it's a legal thing. Maybe they just didn't quite get to it yet. I'm not quite sure. I'll reach out to atgames and see what they say. Anyway, it's not a giant deal. It doesn't affect gameplay at all in the slightest, but it really would be nice to be able to put the back box all the way out and the DMD fill it up. I am not a stickler for aspect ratio. I just want it to look big. Now, speaking of big, is the flipper lag big? Is it a big deal? Yes and no. The lag is definitely still there. It's about the same as you're going to see in Addams Family. It's not a deal breaker for me anyway, but if the lag on Addams Family or some of the other Zen games was a bad experience for you, it's no better on this. Now, we know atgames is trying to fix this, and we don't know what the problem is. Presumably it's because Zen switched over to Unreal 5 for their latest iterations of programming. So maybe that's it. I don't know. It's not a giant big deal. In fact, I was going back and forth between this and Godzilla on Steam, and the lag wasn't throwing me off of there. So it is very minor, but it is absolutely still there. So again, if it bugged you, maybe wait until it's fixed. Again, this is only going for $5, so you're not really risking a lot of money, at least in terms of you just pick up the game. Now, of course, if you actually get the whole pin, that's another thing entirely. Any other negatives I can think about it? Not really, other than the fact that, again, like as in all other games for the 4KP, well, really even for the HD version, you can't zoom in. You cannot change perspective at all. Well, heck, on the HD version, you actually can change perspective on some of the games. Here you cannot change the perspective. You cannot punch in, so you're going to have some dead space at the top and bottom and sides of the playfield. I hope that is something that atgames is looking at strongly, because you do have that on the Zen games on Steam. You can change the perspective and you can punch in a little bit, so hopefully that migrates its way over this way. And there's also one other little factor that I haven't mentioned yet in some of these other reviews, but I do think I need to mention it, and that's the fact that you cannot play any of the games on the 4KP that don't come with the game unless you have the internet. You have to have an internet signal so that your game can sign on. Otherwise, you won't be able to play the game at all. I hope that is something that atgames rectifies going down the line, because for someone like me, my internet signal is very, very shaky. And while I've always been able to get on, sometimes it takes a very long time for me to get on and play because I cannot establish a really good internet signal. And of course, way, way down the line, if atgames goes out of business, or, you know, like these solar flares that keep happening, anything like that kind of knocks out the servers or whatever, or you don't have internet, you won't be able to play this game if you just buy it a la carte for, say, your Addams Family machine. So I hope that that is something that is addressed down the line. Again, it's not game specific to this game, but because I play this game a lot, I really hope to see it, you know, change down the line. So to wrap up the episode, I have played this game a lot. It is an incredibly fun game to play. That should be the headline for the review of this video, is that for $5, this is an incredible bargain. I would think that if you were an Attack from Mars fan, that the table that you can get for this would be amazing. So it is really something to take a look at. If they can fix that lag and give us an apron mode, I would have given this thing an A+++. As it is, I have to give it just an A. I mean, you know, it is great. It is the best game right now that you can play on any of the atgames products as far as I'm concerned when it comes to pinball. Just a great version of this game that plays really, really well. You do get used to the lag, and you can see some of the monster scores on here. Dad's got 22 billion on this game. And I'm just telling you, 22 billion just don't fall out of the back of a truck on Attack from Mars. So clearly you can still put up some monster scores on this despite the lag or whatever. So it shouldn't be anything, in my opinion, that keeps you from buying this game. However, again, if the lag bothered you on some of the other Zen games, maybe hold off until they have it all sorted out. Okay, so that's going to wrap up my review of Attack from Mars for the 4KP. Again, a really, really fun game, and a really fun game to play on Memorial Day weekend, which tends to have, you know, Attack from Outer Space type movies, aliens, you know, Independence Day and things like that. So the theme of the table is fantastic for Memorial Day, in my opinion, and would be a great way to spend maybe some time with your family and get in a couple of games of Attack from Mars if you haven't already picked it up. Happy Memorial Day to everybody here in the States. I hope you have a good, safe one, and hey, get a chance to get into the arcade, play a little bit of games with your friends, your family, and have a good time over this 3-day weekend. All right, give me a thumbs up if you dig videos like this. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell if you have. And I will see you next time in Game Shack. Well, original Game Shack. Okay, mwah! Hope to see you over there. Bye.
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.